Over the course of the next couple of days, Evelyn commands each of you in turn. Ekon,
Mm-hmm.
you are commanded to attend the king at his manor.
Okay.
His man.
The manor looks
Edmont feels the same way about that.
like everything is still in place. Not a candlestick has been moved.
Mhm.
As you enter, you don't see any evidence of anybody else dwelling in the manor as you come in. I mean, when you look off to one side, the whole like east wing of the manor like has plastic tarp over it because it's burned down.
Pardon our dust is a sign. It says in Darkanese and Ferniscan.
One of the larger chambers on the bottom floor, it looks like Aslan has made into a makeshift solar to admit you in. He bids you enter. We are made to believe you are High Aethar of this religion,
Ekon nods.
and I tolerate the presence of your pitiable god only inasmuch as you believe such tolerance aids you in your service to me. It was quite surprising, therefore, when we observed a beast conjured out of fires and set to wing in my skies. And he describes with great clarity the phoenix that you all fought just earlier this week.
Mm-hmm.
I am made aware of a competing High Aethar. You know of whom we speak.
Yes, he traveled to Darkon along with us. We parted ways due to theological differences. I remind you, was that before or after we got to Aslan's?
I
It was
think
right before.
Chris and I think you dismissed him either just before or just after. In
Yeah,
any
that was one or
event,
the other.
yeah, in any event, he wasn't admitted with the rest of your
Okay.
party into the castle.
Yeah, then I'll say, yeah, just before we arrived at your castle and swore fealty to you.
Your religious war concerns me not, and the crown will not suffer it. You will submit to this Chrisen, or you will destroy him.
Ekon nods.
And he dismisses you. That's all he has to say. What does Ekon do with that after the meeting?
Very little. Like, that doesn't actually change his plans at all. Like, he doesn't necessarily want to destroy Grissom, but he also doesn't, like, expect Aslan to be enough of a high maintenance king that it actually will come up. He just doesn't expect, like, sure, whatever, but he doesn't really think that Aslan's actually going to check back in to find out anytime
Sounds
soon.
like he was paying attention. He noticed it was happening.
He was.
He
think
noticed
that's
the
more than
Phoenix
you-
was conjured.
Yeah, he was on the way, and he looked up, and there's a giant bird made of fire. I would be I would be I would be confused if he didn't notice that.
Victor,
Yeah.
you are summoned into Aslan's presence in much the same way. And are greeted much the same way. His servants, by which I mean the fleamen, bring you onto the grounds. When you come into the manor, you don't see anything out of place. The furniture has been moved. Aslan has made himself a humble room for himself in one of your downstairs. It's not one of the bedrooms. He's just chosen one of the larger rooms.
There's a nice sitting room on the main floor.
He's probably converted that then. He calls Victor in.
Yes, Your Grace.
We are under the impression that you have dealings with the Darkanese nomads who call themselves the Vistani.
In as so much as to further our purpose, yes.
He
Which,
shakes
of
his
course,
head.
your purpose.
He says that your purposes are of no concern of his. However,
Purposes are to serve you, are they not?
he sits down in the chair. He folds his hands in front of him. Are they?
That's what I understand them to be, yes. Although, if you wish us to do something specific,
We will speak candidly with you then. We find ourselves at the far end of our patience with your house. Many promises were made in the service that you were going to provide to the crown, and we find these services to be lacking. In all honesty, we are somewhat surprised to hear a man of House Veritas tell us that they exist to serve. What was your name again?
Vincent, my liege. Vincent Veritas.
Then why, when I put forth to my servant to bring me Victor Veritas, he brought me you? Are you Victor or are you Vincent? Where is your tongue, man?
I am Vincent, although, as you know, we go by many names in these parts. We have our true name, and we have the name by which others know us.
He considers that for a moment. You will bring me a census of all of the true names, as you say, of every man, woman, and child of this village, and those of all of the Vistani with which you have had dealings these past years. This will be delivered unto us before we are completed with our work.
As you wish, my grace.
And that's it. You are dismissed.
Okay.
Victor,
Yeah.
do you have any actual compunction to complete this request?
Well, first off, I don't think Victor actually knows the true names of any Vistani, because I don't think the Vistani are that stupid.
No, absolutely not. Well, as far as Victor understands what a true name is. But he certainly knows the names of Vistani that he's dealt with and the names of some of the members of their Vardos. The question is it Victor's intention to deceive Aslan at all? Or is he going to make a good faith effort to give him what was commanded?
Given the consequences of actively trying to deceive Aslan, Victor will compile the list as best he knows
Of the villagers and the Vistani?
of the villagers and the Vistani. He only asked for the villagers and the Vistani. He did not ask for other nobles or anybody else.
Genie.
Yep.
Aslan King demands your presence.
Genie walks in.
Just like the first two, you are escorted in by his little flea men. The manor looks exactly in every capacity the way you left it, although you see no evidence whatsoever that there's anybody else living here. Aslan greets you in, bids you sit. So we are made to understand that you have had dealings with Victor Mordenheim.
Dealings is probably a strong word. She strapped me to a table and informed me that you sold me to her.
You see no reaction in his face or in his vocal cadence whatsoever. He neither confirms nor denies that that was something he had done. He tells you that he would hear all of the details of these dealings, and then listens patiently as you tell him.
There's not much to it. She captured. We went there to investigate my constitution, and she gassed us. Put everybody else in to cages. Had me strapped to a table. And then we broke out and killed her and left. Although I've been led to believe that she didn't stay dead.
He wants to hear details about this magical process that she subjected you to.
I was unconscious for most of it.
He nods, but in the way that you remember your dreams after you wake, you have been made aware of things that happened while you were asleep.
I'm like, me as a player is unsure what that means.
He wants to know the details about how Jeannie's consciousness was transported into a constructed body. This is something that Jeannie is acutely aware has happened.
Yeah, I'm okay. Okay, yeah.
And you had left that part out of the story.
She says, I wish I knew the answer to that one. All I know is that it required twins. That's like, I think that's pretty true.
That's how Victor explained it, yes.
Yeah, she didn't really explain anything to anybody, is my understanding. And again, I was unconscious for most of the monologue, and none of my family has the technical expertise to understand. And I was a little put out after during our exit from the university. If I may ask a question.
You may.
What did you get when you sold me?
He holds up his hand. This is nonsense. Whether he's avoiding the question or declining to answer, you can't tell. Instead, he asks whether any magical residue from the any of Victor's devices was recovered by your people when you left.
The thing that immediately comes to mind, and Jeannie is going to basically, she is not thinking about her answer.
Okay.
She's going under the assumption this man can read her mind. This thing can read her mind.
Okay.
And the answer is, she's lying to him at this point, because the answer is yes, because we recovered Jeannie's body.
Mm-hmm.
And she looks him dead in the eye and says, no.
Nothing at all?
No. Just me.
It is regrettable.
The only thing recovered was me.
Would that we had the original vessel.
What would you do?
He holds his hand up again as though the answer to the question is completely unimportant. You have a laboratory here.
More of a workshop. I'm not the like I said, Jeannie is not like she's less of a scientist and more of an engineer, if that makes sense. Like I think there is a distinction there. Like she does have like a grasp of, like, she's not like in Team Fortress 2, she's not She's not the medic. She's the engineer.
I haven't played Team Fortress 2, but okay.
Okay. So,
McDohl is yelling at me right now.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
no. That's very accurate, though.
So I do have a laboratory where I do maintain some chemicals, but mostly for, like, reactions and things. It's not an experimental lab.
So where is Jeannie's body right now? Where did you put the corpse?
It's in her bag of holding.
Oh, okay.
So, as long as we don't rip it, it won't fall from the sky.
We are also led to believe that you are the most qualified from amongst your house to summarize for your king the various artifacts, relics, magical devices that you have unearthed since your arrival. Am I correct in that?
Yes.
Then an inventory of that will be made available to the crown.
Sure.
Is
I
it?
don't think we haven't found many major artifacts, unfortunately. There are a copious amount of ruins in the area, but we've mostly been like. And then she'll go off on a tangent. Are you aware there's a giant tree about X number of miles that way?
He
and once
shuts
a day?
down any tangents you try to go off on. He's given you a very simple order, and he does not need to hear all of your little anecdotes about it. He just needs to know you can do what has been commanded.
Right. Is there
Is
anything
it-
in particular you're looking for? Like, is there a certain, I'm basically asking for clarity. Is there a certain magical threshold, or you just want?
You need a definition of the word inventory.
Okay. No. I just. All right.
Is it Jeannie's, like I asked Victor, is it her intention to make a good faith effort to deliver this information as accurately as she knows how? By which I mean you're going to tell him about the mirror, you're going to tell him about the scrying pool, all the magical stuff you found, like the ghost train, stuff you pulled off of there, your bag of holding and the stuff inside of it. Like, this would all count as an inventory of artifacts, relics, and magical devices that you've accumulated since your time here. If there's anything you don't want him to know about, I need to know about it now, I guess is my question.
I mean, Jeannie had a bag of holding when she walked into the Castle Avernus, so he probably knows about that.
Okay.
No, Jeannie's not going to hide anything.
Okay.
Well, except maybe, yeah, no, Jeannie's not going to hide anything, except probably the egg, because that's not a magical device.
Is that what Jeannie tells herself?
Yep, that's a magical creature.
And you think that loophole is a good reason to disobey the command of your king?
I think that it would pass the muster for a Zone of Truth spell.
So that's the threshold that Jeannie's holding herself to. She's not making a good faith effort to follow this command. Your concern is, as long as I follow the exact letter of the law just good enough to slide it under a zone of truth, I'm in a good place.
Yeah.
All right.
Victor's got everything.
Well, Victor's not there yet. We're going down the list. Well, Victor's already been and gone.
Yeah.
Jeannie,
Mhm.
make me a wisdom check.
Wisdom check. That is a 19.
19. Any good faith effort to provide Aslan with what he wants to know is going to involve your bag of holding. If you do not want him to discover the corpse in the bag, you're going to have to stash it somewhere else for the duration that he's here.
Okay.
And give me a deception check.
That is a 15.
Are you going to come clean about the corpse, or are you going to hide it somewhere so he doesn't find it?
No, I'm going to hide it. It's my body.
Okay, then make another deception check.
Oof.
Oh no.
You know what? 6 blips.
Okay. Genie wants make
I'm
absolutely
sorry,
sure.
I can't use my ability. I'm not there. Wouldn't it only be 4 blips?
Where do you hide these things?
Yeah, auto success is 4 blips.
Oh, 4 blips then. Yeah. 6 blips is making somebody auto fail, right?
Right.
So 4 blips.
So
Where do I hide these things?
Yeah, where are you hiding the egg? Where are you hiding the body?
Well, the egg is already hidden. Like we've got it behind like 15 behind 15 feet of like solid stone.
Okay.
Like it might even be deeper than that. I don't know. Like Ekon used approximately 50 stone shapings or something crazy.
It's like a
So like there's like no what is the word you're looking for, like when you describe like you have to have a line of effect? There's no line of effect to that.
There's no line of anything.
Yeah.
Where are you hiding the body?
Genie would ask Ekon to hide the body.
I'll just inter it in the graveyard. Honestly.
Yeah, and yeah, we just inter it in the graveyard in a sarcophagus of solid stone.
Okay. So Ekon,
I
you
take
are
two stone shapes unless you're really. I guess if you want to be short.
now in on this conspiracy to hide this body.
Okay.
No, Genie was never going to do this for herself.
All right.
So
Genie does not have the tools to hide to effectively hide this body.
Genie, you were told then before Aslan dismisses you that you will be called back before he departs, so that he may discuss with you the inventory that you deliver. He's going to require some summarization of what you give him.
Mm-hmm.
Edmont.
before we move on, there's an episode of Star Trek Lower Decks that's literally named Veritas, and here's one line: "Are you so stubborn that you're willing to risk death by eels?" Yes, that's correct. Then continue.
I don't think there's any eels in this situation. Edmont is summoned
Yeah.
to the king's chambers.
Yep. Edmont goes.
And same situation. You're brought into the manor. Nothing is out of place. You don't see any evidence of any of the servants living there. We are led to understand that for some part of the year, you live amongst the werewolves of the region. Is this correct?
Keltostravi. Aye.
He nods. So we will require a specimen from them.
Specimen.
One of the men of the Keltostravi will be returning to Castle Avernus with the crown when it leaves. You are going to facilitate this delivery.
Very well.
We are also led to understand that you personally have adopted a child.
This is correct.
We would know this child's parentage.
As would I, to be perfectly honest.
It was taken from the woods, yes?
Correct.
And you are not ignorant of the types of creatures that can dwell in the woods of Darkon?
No, I'm not.
And it has then occurred to you that this child may in fact be of a lineage of one or more of these creatures, as well as humanity. This thought has occurred to you. You are not an imbecile.
Correct.
What efforts have been made to ascertain the bloodline of this creature?
None yet. None has no
It's-
unusual symptoms have been exhibited by her.
I will chime in. We actually did run tests on the child when we got to see if she showed anything, and if I recall correctly, Brickroad's response was no. There's nothing magical about her that you can ascertain, and
Yeah, as far as you guys have attempted,
Yeah.
the normal
Yeah.
human.
so both Edmont, Ekon and Jeannie have run tests on the baby.
Yeah, and Edmont wouldn't mislead him about that.
The king seems to consider this for a moment. We admit our curiosity gets the best of us. So we must ask, what compelled you to bring a creature of the forest inside the walls of your village?
Duty, sense of personal responsibility. The creature that had stolen this child was slain in battle.
He shakes his head, and for a moment you can tell that this answer was not satisfactory, but he doesn't press it any further. He gives you directions on where a specimen of the Celtistravi can be delivered to his wheelhouse and under what conditions. Either he wants a living man of the Celtistravi shackled inside his wheelhouse. There's a cage in there for this exact purpose. Or the dead body of one will suffice just as well. And that's it. Edmont is dismissed.
Don't like that.
Evie,
Yes.
the king commands your presence.
Evie obliges.
Same situation. You enter the manor. Everything is in place. There's no evidence of any of the other people living there.
Mm-hmm.
You enter the sitting room. We have determined the lords and ladies of House Veritas have done an adequate job of setting this duchy to rights. You are to be commended.
Thank you, Your Grace.
He pulls a roll of parchment that he's already affixed his seal to, just awaiting your signature. He says there has been some consternation with the man at Lake Rudolph. We've decided to supplant him. All of his lands and holdings and responsibilities will fall to you. He hands you the parchment. All you must do is unseat him and remove him from these lands. The lake, all of its incomes, fall to you.
What has this man done to deserve this fate?
We are not accustomed to having our generosity questioned, Duchess.
I have had dealings with this man and found him to be rather unpleasant. If this is your command, it will be done.
That seems to appease him for the moment. He tells you to arrange a public pronouncement of same to your villagers, to have riders sent out to the outlying villages in the remainder of the duchy, and of course a missive sent to Lake Rudolph itself as soon as you deem it to be prudent.
Evie nods.
That's it. You're
Consider
dismissed.
it done, my lord. Evie bows and dismisses herself.
So over the course of the next couple of days, that's when this took place. Everybody was called in. So just to run down the list here. Ekon,
Mm-hmm.
you have agreed to either submit to or destroy Kristen.
Yeah.
Have you decided which one?
No.
Edmont, you've agreed to deliver a man of the Celtistravi to the king. So is Edmont going to make a good faith effort to make this delivery happen?
I don't know. I don't want to. These people are my friends now.
Are
They
they
might give you one of their dad.
are they all your friends?
Yeah.
There's not one of them like you like a little bit less?
No.
Like he farts too much or he's really nasally voiced or something?
We just
No.
give him Victor. Put
Victor's
Victor in
not
the
a
cage.
Celtistravi.
We could Edmont. You could bite Victor and put him in the cage.
I don't think it works that way.
Jeannie,
Yeah.
you're making an inventory of magical devices and things. The only thing you're trying to hide from him are the phoenix egg and your original body.
Yeah.
Victor, you are going to give him a census of the people in the village as well as the names of your Vistani contacts that you're aware of.
The people in this village and the names of Vistani contacts as they were given to me initially, as I am aware of, yes.
Sure. And Evie, you're going to sell your good friend Zach Wheel up the river.
Well, I have a strategy to maybe not do that, but I'm going to give Aslan every impression that I intend to do what he commands.
But you do not intend to do it.
Well, I don't intend to kill him.
Okay.
Let's put it that way.
And Rick, to be clear, by villagers he means people living in the main city, not the nobles.
Well, there are no other nobles in this village. You guys are it.
Yeah, so not our names and not the names of any people that do not permanently call this village home.
Okay, we'll see if you get away with that.
He's satisfying the request to the lair.
And
Is that good enough, though?
we already. So I would like to point out we already gave him our names, full names.
Except
He
for
knew
Victor.
those before we came in.
Victor gave him a false name, and Aslan
Yeah.
called him on it.
Basically, Victor's not putting his name on this list. Or Darkwoods, for that matter.
Well, Darkwood doesn't live in the city.
Exactly.
Once or twice, each of you, I mean, your dealings with Aslan are very, very as short as possible, and he doesn't spend a lot of time out of the manor. However, now that you bring it up, it does strike at least a couple of you. It strikes you as a little odd that at no point does Aslan ask anything about Darkwood, nor
I don't think
request
he knows
his
Darkwood
presence.
exists.
Aslan, and I think you guys learned this with Victra, actually. Everybody who enters Darkhan, Aslan becomes aware of their presence. Either this has not happened with Darkwood, or it has, and Aslan is giving no evidence at all that he knows Darkwood exists. He's either he doesn't know about it, or he's making sure you all believe he doesn't know about it. You can't be sure which.
I know he knows that we know that he doesn't know. What?
Yeah, that sounds right. But yeah, it does strike you as odd that him and his party do not mention Darkwood at all.
He's aware of Darkwood and is terrified of him.
I doubt that's the case. He wouldn't be here if he was actually afraid of Darkwood.
Evie,
Yes.
the rumors that you have cut a deal with Strahd are never spoken in your presence or the presence of people in your family, but they are spoken commonly after that night in the village. Aslan never calls you to task for it. He doesn't drag you in and make you explain why are these people saying you've worked with Strahd. But the idea that he has not heard the rumors is unfathomable to you.
And so Evie's basically waiting the whole time of every time he sends for her. She's like, "This is it. I'm gonna have to answer for it."
It does seem to be a very tense situation.
Evie probably doesn't sleep this entire period.
I think the only one of these things that's going to require short-term resolution is Edmont.
Yeah.
You either have to deliver a Celtistravi to Azalin, or you have to defy him. I think everybody else on this list could probably get away with defying him, at least in the short term. But when he rolls out of here, he will either have his werewolf, or he will have an explanation as to why. So let's resolve that now.
First, I'm going to talk to my brother and say, listen, the Celtistravi, I'm friends with the Celtistravi. I've gotten to know some of them pretty well over the past 2 years. I don't have it in me to hand any one of them over.
Okay. And is there a body that you could use?
None that haven't turned to dust by now.
I thought this was the old and decrepit
They were. They
house.
seem to have turned things around.
Right, but like, are you sure there isn't one that's...
The sick and wounded among them have fared a lot better, but they still are caring for their old. Like the old, you don't really cure old. You don't tour old around. The old are still going to be feeble.
Any of them die of a heart attack lately?
Edmont doesn't know. They didn't while he was amongst them, but that was a little while ago.
Nah, it's Edmont just does this doesn't.
Is it defiance then?
Yeah.
Is it open defiance, or do you just not do it? Like, do you send word back to Aslan that you're not going to do this thing, or do you just tell him nothing?
My word to Aslan is that the Celtistravi perform a valuable service to our people, and to diminish their number would be a foolish gesture.
Are you saying the crown is a fool?
No.
Then
But
we
they
are
help protect our
confused.
lands.
Which among us is the fool, then? You are told that this specimen is required for the Crown's research, and you are saying that the Crown's request is foolish. What then do you know of my research that I must make this request for? Are you a smarter man than I realize in the magical arts?
Yeah, no, I know. I know Edmont has stepped in it.
So his
No, I'm
question,
well aware of that.
his question is Edmont more learned in the magic arts than Aslan realized?
No.
Then on what authority could you possibly say that it is more foolish to deny me the specimen I require than to relinquish it?
Them. Like, he's talking about these guys like objects, and they're not objects. They're people.
Yeah.
And
Is that what you tell him?
yeah, no.
Oh God.
You are a principled man. You would, I
One
think.
of my more dire qualities, I'm told from time to time.
You would, I think, expect if this were a fairy story, for me to tell you that the crown respects your principles. Be yourself warned. The crown does not respect your principles. An Azalin king has no use of principled men. You will bring this specimen to my wheelhouse before my departure, or you and yours will answer for it.
Very well.
And he dismisses you again.
Yeah.
Destil's burning
So-
town. Edmund's gonna get us killed.
So let's let Edmont stew in that a little bit. So Victor, you're spending the next amount of time getting this census together. And you have no problem turning over the names of these Vistani. Victor, when you go to deliver this information, I'm assuming you would go through one of the minions, or you just like stride up and try to go directly to the manor?
I mean, he would try and arrange a meeting the proper way.
Okay, so you would make a request of one of the flea men while they're out in the village?
Yeah.
Okay. Then yeah, they bring you to the manor immediately. And you're delivering this in like a ledger, or are you just going to recite them off? Like, how are you making the delivery?
It would be an easily burnable parchment.
Okay. Esselin's mood never...
Is there any chance that Victor knows how to make invisible ink?
Invisible ink?
Oh,
That would
Lord.
fall under
Or
the...
fading ink.
So there's two... You're asking two questions. The first question is, there are magical ways of doing that. And I don't think Victor knows how to do any of that magic. But he's trained in Arcana. So he would know well enough that anybody trained in Arcana would be able to see that that sort of magic had been used. You wouldn't be able to use magic in this way to deceive Azalin.
Okay.
However, there are non-magical forms of fading inks, little parlor tricks.
Yeah. Like
And
that's what
Victor
I'm
doesn't know for sure that you can't trick Azalin with a parlor trick. The question is, does he want to try it?
Well,
I think we all know the real answer to this question.
what was the question? What did you say earlier? Like, you like to be as contrarian as the next person?
Can I have a sidebar on this one?
Yeah, you can place some of these names, some of this information in invisible ink that will not be readable on the parchment, that will either fade into or out of view later. And this can be done without magic. This is just a parlor trick.
Mm-hmm.
So Victor, you have to decide right now whether you're doing that or not, and what information you're trying to hide.
Can I discuss it with my team first?
Yeah, sure.
Do it.
I really want to, but you guys tell me if I should.
What does that actually buy you?
It's all it's gonna do is piss him off, and then he's gonna come back and he's gonna take your balls, and then he's gonna make you give him the real list.
I just don't like. Is this to get past?
No, so the issue is that like when you give people, when somebody has your true name, they can do all sorts of crazy crap to it, especially if any of the Vistani happen to have true names. And so giving him a list of names written in ink that would fade, in a day or two.
Oh, you're using ink that will eventually fade.
Yeah, ink that'll fade in like a day or two, or like a week, or some period of time afterwards.
Like
Not invisible ink. Oh gosh, what is that stuff called? I just watched Pee-wee's Big Adventure. There's that scene where they squirt the ink, from the thing, and then it fades away. And disappearing ink. That's what you're like, not invisible ink, disappearing ink.
Disappearing ink, yeah.
Well,
My favorite part of that story is there must have been a moment where Treble's like, I gotta watch Pee-wee's Big Adventure. And then...
Yes, it was like Thursday.
Okay, so if I'm understanding this plan correctly, you're hoping to give him a list that will look perfect in the moment, but when he gets back to Castle Avernus, he will open it and it will no longer be legible?
Yeah, because Victor will have satisfied the request. He will have given him a list of names.
No, he will not. He will know that you were fucking with him, and he's going to come rain fire on our village.
Jokes on him. Somebody's already doing that.
Get in line, loser.
So yeah,
God.
this is in the realm of possibility for Victor to do. The question is he going to do it? Do you want to draft this ledger in such a way that after a week or so, the ink will be illegible?
I think the question for Victor is like how much like are you going to? I think there's two questions. One, how much information are you going to obscure? And two, how much do you value like the safety of the peasantry and the Vistani? You know.
Is why I'm having a sidebar with you. How upset will you be if Victor
So to
does
be upfront about this part of it, because this comes up quite a lot in D&D sometimes, where players will want to, can I do the letter of this law, but like get away with something? Like imagine if you ordered a bookshelf from IKEA, and they delivered it, and they built it, and then they left, and then 2 days later, it completely falls apart.
So
In that situation, you would not think IKEA had delivered the bookshelf you ordered. You call them back to fix it at the very least.
But I would also have no legal standing for him to come fix it.
Victor,
Well, but-
you cannot rules lawyer your way out of a command from Aslan Rex, King of Darkon.
Alright, so Evie's saying don't do it.
Do not intentionally piss him off and feel like, well, I did what you told me, sir. I don't know what your grounds you have for except that this is in the Victor voice. You know the voice.
Is that the Victor voice?
Evie has a perfect Victor impression. It's one of her class abilities.
Nice. Victor, it's uncanny how good Evie gets your voice down in those moments.
God.
So, Victor, do you tamper with the ledger? Or do
My
you
lord,
just...
I delivered exactly what you asked me for.
He does not, and when it comes back to bite us in the ass, he's going to blame Evie.
Okay.
As opposed to you doing it and it coming back to biting the ass and you still blaming Evie for not stopping you.
He
Victor.
just blames Evie.
Upon delivery of the ledger, very notably, Aslan does not express gratitude, does not offer compensation. This was just expected of you.
Yeah, not surprising.
He says, "We are aware that some number of the nomads that pass through Darkon are in the employ of Count Strahd von Zarovich. Have you met this Count Strahd?"
Big sigh. So,
We were waiting for this one to come up.
let me
Yeah.
check skill set right now.
Let me what?
I need to see what my deception rating is. Yeah, you know what?
So like,
What?
I feel like this is a discussion we would have had, like, you know, because they are pretty notorious enemies.
Sure.
Like, I think Jeannie's response was, I think we should tell him that we were pulled into Barovia on business and we did momentarily meet Strahd. Like, he invited it, he fed us tea and then sent us back on our, sent us on our way, and we don't lie to him. Like we don't lie to him about meeting Strahd because he's going to ask all five of us.
Yeah,
And one of us is going to fail.
Yeah, Victor does not think it's smart to lie to him. The question is, do we tell him? Because he's going to ask if we say we met Strahd, what did Strahd want? And so, do we tell him that Strahd wanted us to screw with your machine?
Like,
How much do we tell him? Because he is going to ask.
Say that he wanted us to turn against Aslan, and the Duchess's official position is that we will not do the bidding of Strahd von Zarovich. That is true and correct.
yeah. I think we should go with that.
Okay.
Like,
So, Victor,
Yeah,
you're sitting in
agreed.
this meeting, and that is the agreement. That's what you've been told to talk about. So the question right now is, have you met the man?
Yes, I have.
Do you consider yourself to be a good judge of character?
Honestly, not all the time.
So your impressions of the man would be irrelevant to even ask for.
Unfortunately, Your Grace, as the rest of my family will tell you, that is probably a true statement.
Yeah. That tracks.
The rest of your family, if I may be so bold as to make an observation, seems to have a relatively short leash upon you.
Oh, that'd be Edmont.
That is your observation, my lord.
It chafes at your neck and your back and makes you lash out in inappropriate ways, such as giving a false name to your king.
Victor tilts his head, confused.
We should answer for this grievance. But before doing so, we might ask where the depths of your loyalties could be plumbed. I have been defied by your cousin Edmont. He made me aware that he was not going to follow a command that I had given him. And a man who is more loyal to his king than to his blood can be of great value, to the point where the crown may forget past grievances. What he's saying here is that he has not yet punished you for lying to him about your name, but that he is going to, and that you can alleviate the punishment somewhat if you act against Edmont in his name.
Oh, I got that.
Okay.
Except he hasn't lied about his name. His middle name is Vincent.
You cannot rules lawyer your way out of disobeying the Wizard King.
If the Wizard
Yeah,
King,
Burkhardt is not going to let you do this.
the Wizard King can take what he wants. I'm just stating for the record. Yeah, no, Victor gets what he's saying.
Okay. So he shares with you the command that he's given to Edmont. His research requires a specimen from this particular bloodline of werewolves from this corner of Darkhan.
Very well.
Your cousin does not know this. Perhaps he is more ignorant than the rest of you. It is so tiresome trying to accurately gauge the depths of your ignorance that sometimes I am taken off guard. Perhaps your cousin does not know that I know he has the blood that I need. If he will not deliver me a man of the Keltostravi, I empower you by word and magical deed to instead deliver me him. Is this agreeable to you?
If I may ask, you need the entire body, not just some amount of blood.
He shuffles through some objects on a makeshift desk that he has. A table that's just kind of strewn with knickknacks and things. In fact, now that you're looking at it, this table looks to be the one piece of furniture you don't recognize from the manor proper. From it, he pulls a length of silver chain that, at one stroke, looks like it could be a fairly wide necklace that a very large creature could wear. Maybe a little too... Like Mr. T might think this is an appropriate chain, but a normal person would not. But looked at it another way, it looks more like a noose made of silver links. You can't quite convince yourself whether it's one or the other. He reaches it out to you. He tells you that if you were to loop this around your cousin's neck, he would be powerless to escape your grasp.
Victor nods.
You take the device.
He'll take it and look at it.
It's relatively. It's hefty. It's large, so it drapes over your hands, but it's not heavy. It doesn't have a lot of weight to it. It does feel. You're not sure if it feels unnaturally cold or if it's just the cold glint of metal.
Victor will consider it and then pocket it.
And that's it. The king dismisses you.
And Victor walks out and waits for Jeannie to be done with her interrogation.
Does Victor keep this chain to himself?
For the moment, yeah. He's got to talk to Jeannie first.
And Edmont. Does Edmont rethink his life choices about defying the king?
So, so this is actually one of the things that I was thinking of, but then I'm like, shit, lawful evil, can't do that.
You can do whatever you want.
Literally my thesis statement. But the other idea was to go behind the rest of the party's back, take one of the one of the women that we've been eyeballing for this this plan of ours to give the Celtistravi maidens,
Mm-hmm.
and trade her for one of their weakest.
Wow, that's dark. Is that what you do?
Yeah,
That sounds awesome.
I haven't pulled the trigger on either idea yet.
Well, it's time to pull some kind of trigger.
Edmont, all I gotta say is better you make the dark powers check than me.
Why? Because I feel like I don't think Victor has made any dark powers checks.
I don't know if he has either.
Yeah, I have to.
McDohl's
I
made like
literally have no other options right now.
All right.
I mean, so if it helps, so Victor's plan was to basically get Jeannie to identify this thing to find out what exactly it does, and then go to Edmont and be like, "Listen, dude said you got two choices. I can help you with one of them."
So Victor's plan is to make sure that this necklace does what Aslan says it does, and if so, bring Edmont up to speed on what's happening.
Yeah, not just doesn't do what he says it does, but we'll work on any werewolf or just Edmont,
Okay.
and not tell Evie about this.
Yeah, Jeannie, as far as you can tell, if you use identify on this object. I'm assuming you went to Jeannie and not Ekon, because Ekon might feel ways about things, about...
Yeah, Jeannie used to have questionable morals. Victor's not sure if she still does.
Jeannie is not any different. She's just trying to be, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Like she's trying to make a good faith effort. It's like when everybody goes back to Earth in The Good Place.
Victor basically explains to you this is what Aslan wants us to do. This is what he said the consequences were. This is the thing he gave me to make it happen. I know this is not what we want to do, but given that the werewolves want something, maybe we can do some sort of trade and make this as easily as possible without having to do some sort of snatch and grab. But if we don't do this, there is a very good chance that bad things are going to happen. And if we want to escape this place, we're going to have to do it.
Edmont, instead of we're having like a no narc squad.
Well, let's start here, Jeannie. As far as you can tell, when I identify this item, it is a magical device that, when placed around the neck of a Celtistravi werewolf, will constrict, be unable to be removed except through magical means, and while it's constricted, the creature is restrained.
So
You can say sit, Inuyasha, and then they'll sit.